Alright, so excuse the background noise. My ham shack is not set up properly. Neither is this recording studio, air quotes. So what you're seeing on your screen here is SDR Sharp. This is one of the many softwares that you can control an an SDR with, software defined radio. I'll put some links below for all this stuff. So right now I have it paused. All SDRs are not created equal. The one I have hooked up now is called an RTL SDR. It works fine for 99% of the things you're going to do. This one's like $25 or $30. So you have these different options here. So if you want to emulate and operate, I should say, in the HF band, you want to put it on direct sampling Q branch. And then leave everything else the same. You could probably experiment with different things depending on your computer speeds, but the default's fine. If you have more than one SDR hooked up, you'll see different ones here. I only have one plugged in now. So I'll close that, and then we'll start it up. Now you're starting to see activity here. Currently, I'm in the shortwave. Well, this is 9 megahertz. You know how this works. So what I'm going to do for the beginning of this video is just show you how this RSJT-X software works, which is going to read FT8 in the 20 meter band for this demonstration. It can do more, but it's over my head. So the one thing that you'll have to do, which I'll link down below, is currently I have the output. It's locked because I started it, but it's set to what's called a virtual cable. So as opposed to having the audio coming out of your speakers or headphones, it's directly inputting the audio into a virtual realm, kind of. And I'll get more into that in a second here. So what I'm going to do is tune this to the 20 meter band's FT8 frequency, which is 14. And I'm just rolling my mouse wheel here. You can drag the cursor. There's plenty of different ways. It's 14.074 is the FT8 frequency. Now it looks kind of small here. You see my waterfall. What you can do is you can zoom in with the contrast not as much as you want. It's limited, but I'll just zoom into here. It's fine. You have other options here. You can change the range of your your waterfall, sorry. How you want it to look. There's endless settings. You see over here, I have a lot of different stuff plugged in. You don't need to worry about all this right off the bat, but for this video here, I'm going to just use we're going to go over just the FT8. I'm hooked up to a Stereo, I believe it's pronounced, discone antenna. It's like an all band receive only antenna. So that's what you're seeing here. So what I'll do now is, so you see this, I'm locked into the FT8 band. What I'll do now is go to my other screen, maybe. So what you're going to see here, these are all the different people and their push pins. So this is basically all the people that are running this WSTJ-X program, which I'll show you a screenshot of that in a second. But ultimately what I'm doing is taking the audio out of here virtually, plugging it into one second here, sorry. Plugging it into another piece of software, which eventually should go. Okay, sorry. So this is the WSTJ-X software. So what I've had this running for since I left, maybe 4 hours, we'll say 4 or 5 hours this has been running. These are the people that have sent receives out, basically, or said they're sending out CQs. And my discone antenna is picking them up. So you can see them here, just call signs and CQs. This over here gives a little bit more information. I believe some of these are the ones that may show the grid square. I'm not sure. But right now I have it off. So let me turn it back on. And you'll see here, now I'm receiving FT8 in the 14.074 megahertz in the 20 meter band. You can change this to any band, and you can select whichever digital mode you want, if that's what these are called. You can also see right here my volume's a little low. And even though it's virtual, basically, when I go back to my SDR screen, which I think I can do if I can get my software to work. So in my SDR screen, I have my volume sort of low. Now, even though you don't hear anything other than my phone's going off in the background, it's because instead of having it go out to my speakers, it's going directly into the other software. Now, if you wanted to hear what this sounded like, you could change this to your speakers or headphones, and you would hear it. Now, there's not going to be audio because it's just digital tones, I believe. Maybe. New to this. It's data is what it is, one way or another. So it just sounds like beeps. Yeah, I believe it's digital, FT8. So then what I'll do, I'll go back to my other screen here. And if you look at this here, you'll see that I'm in FT8 mode. And it's basically decoding all the signals as they come in. You'll see them pop in here in real time. I actually stopped it while I was messing with some stuff. But all these have come in since this morning. So as you sit here and you let it run, you'll see these coming in slowly. So remember this one here came in at 1811. Now, you want your volume up, which you see this is now raised up. You don't want to clip. If you go too high, it'll be red and probably distort your data a little bit. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. I get it. Some of the stuff I don't understand. Some of the stuff you do understand. I'm sure. Probably all this kind of stuff. But the bottom line is I'm taking the audio out of the SDR, which is digital data basically. I'm pumping it into this program, which is in turn decoding it, and then it plots it on a map that I have set up by checking this box here. This is a website. Some other stuff I have going on here. We'll just disregard that for now. So let me go ahead and bring up the map here. Now this here is the map. I know I've mentioned it earlier. These are all people that are basically using this program to transmit data or receive, depending on what you sort it by up here. Now, I cannot transmit, obviously, so I'm just receiving. But what you can do is you can put in my call sign up here, if I can remember it. And then you hit go for 20. You can select a time frame. I'm just going to do 24 hours. Now you can see over the past 24 hours, even though I've only had this running for 4 or 5 hours, my discone antenna has picked up signals from all of these places here. So as far as almost 5,200 miles away in Romania, this person here is sending out a CQ. It's making it all the way to my discone antenna, which is amazing to me. Any of these that are getting picked up by a non-tuned antenna is amazing to me. So that's happening. And like Tony and a few others have mentioned, just because I'm receiving these doesn't mean that I can transmit back, even if I were legally able to. It's just showing what's capable, kind of. So this guy could be putting out 50,000 watts or something crazy. I don't know, something illegal. Who knows? But one way or another, his signal is making it all the way to my house from 5,000 miles away. Same with this in Italy. Same with this in in France. Whatever this is, I'm not going to try to pronounce that, but it is down there. So we have some, what is this? Puerto Rico. You get the point. So this is a cool thing if you're actually able to transmit on HF, in my opinion, because you can, like Tony was saying, you can look at the band. Let me zoom in some. And like, so this is the last 24 hours. So this could have been during the night when the band was more open. You probably would want to go in a closer time frame here. Let's see here. When did I turn this off? So within the hour here, you can see I'm not making, well, I did make one long contact here. I say contact, I use that term loosely. It's not contact. I've received somebody's FT8 signal or their CQ within the past hour. So, but like Tony was saying, you can basically see what bands are open if you actually were able to transmit, which I'm not. Not saying you can reach them. I keep trying to say that over and over because I know people are going to say just because they can reach you doesn't mean you can reach them. I understand that. I'm new to this. I'm very new to this, but I do understand that part at least. So that's just what that is. But more than likely, these people you'd be able to reach them if I had a proper HF rig and the proper license. So technically, you can scroll the wheel on your HF rig, like you were saying, Mike, and a few other people, and find these people, which is one way to do it. But you can also see, okay, well, these people here are making it to me. So potentially I can find these people myself if I go to the 20 meter band and send out a CQ or however that works. Forgive my noobness. And I would say that this design, this little half circle here, has something to do with maybe this is telling me the band is open. I don't know. I'm just making this loosely based on what I understand of it from messing with it and learned from a few people. You have different options here that you can change. You can monitor and you can show SNR. You can monitor in the frequency order. You can hide different things. You might also notice that it shows who's in the dark and who's in the sunlight here. If that's one way to, I guess that's one way to say it. So it's obviously sun down in this area, sun up here. So I don't know if that helps anybody or not, but I think it's a pretty cool tool to be able to see what I can receive off of my just regular receive-only disc cone antenna. I know I keep saying that over and over, but I would also like to put up, like if I was Tony or one of you guys that have an HF rig, I would probably put up my HF rig, or it's already up, but I would get my HF antenna ready, and then I would also see what I can transmit to, because you could also sort these by sent by, and if I hit go, I have no call. I have never been heard transmitting clearly because I don't have the rights. But like these people here, whoever they are, I can click on one of them and I can see where they've transmitted and to who and on what band, notated by the colors. So if you were to transmit through the program, which would record your transmits as well as your receives, you would also be able to see, you can see your own CQs. What are they called? Your own contacts. You can see those. So like if Tony were to do it, you can enter his call sign, click on how many hours and see. Now if I make this, let's say 1 hour for this guy, he's only on receive. So let's see here. Let's say 3 hours. So receive. So he's probably not transmitting. We'll go back to 6 hours. So then you see he was in some different bands here. I'm sorry. I said that all wrong. I'm not going to edit the video because that's just not going to happen. But what I meant to say was you can see what has been sent. So if you're sending out CQs, you can see where they're going and who's receiving them. So I'm starting to ramble because I'm starting to confuse myself. So I'm going to stop. But that's the gist of this program. I'm sure there's plenty of questions, most which I probably cannot answer. But I do hope that kind of makes a little more sense as to what it's doing. I would say that at first you get the misconception that you're actually using it to transmit and get your CQs in a contest or something, which is definitely not what's happening here. It just kind of shows you what's being received by your antenna and by your gear, and whether or not you should probably even try to make contacts in the other areas or different areas of the world. And since we've been sitting here, before I go ahead and end this video, that people are probably sleeping, I will show you this other screen here. And you'll see that even though it's the middle of the day, this somebody sent something out here at 1900 hours, or however you say this in UTC time. So, like I said, sorry for the lack of knowledge. I'm just kind of this is going to be more of a conversation starter, and maybe somebody like Tony or whoever else wants to get involved can fix what I've broken in my explanation here. But this is the gist of it. So I wouldn't say this is a bad thing. I would say this is a cool tool to use in conjunction with an HF rig if you're actually going to transmit out. So with that, I'll go ahead and stop now and just leave it open for discussion, I guess. Like Tony was saying, I'm more of a visual learner myself, even though I've made a nightmare out of this presentation, also using that loosely. I learn a lot better when I watch something. So I know there's a lot going on in all these different screens that I've been going through, but I think this may help to sort of get you started in the right direction. Not to mention, you could probably search YouTube and find actual professionals that know what they're talking about. So with that being said, I'm going to stop this due to all the background noise and I'm not properly set up. But in the future, if I can help, I will definitely clean up my act over here and try to make some better videos for you guys to get this conversation started. So, all right, guys, KD9QGP. I got to say that so I don't forget. Clear.